going to head into some motivation. The bread and butter of the podcast, if I do say so myself. One of the main inspirations behind me even starting this podcast, Talks with Taeler Hendrix on Russo'sBrand.com. And honestly, I just really get to, I feel like I'm not only giving back, but also getting something in return every time I do stuff like motivation. I really feel like it brings us together in the way that I had hoped for and intended when I said that I want all of us to be a part of tough conversations that allow us to be a part of someone else's survival guide. If we help even just one person, maybe even just ourselves, then all of it is worth it. And so this week, I want to round out what we have been talking about for the last few months. We have been talking about becoming the best versions of ourselves. We have been talking about breaking generational curses and generational trauma to pass down generational wealth and prosperity, as well as becoming the adults that we needed as children. These are all super incredibly powerful and motivational things, but motivation is not the only part of this recipe, okay? You need consistency, and we talk about this almost every single week when I say that consistency will take you places that motivation alone cannot. If you only get up off the couch once, are you really going to have that six-pack of abs that you want? If you are not willing to do the cold calls, are you really going to meet the sales metrics of what you're trying to accomplish? Probably not. That's why consistency will take you places that motivation alone by itself cannot. And a lot of times we have talked about how people have such a vested interest in our silence. And it's because of the point that I have brought up multiple times on this podcast, which is there are three types of people, okay? There are people that get in line for the reassuring lie because it's easy, it's convenient, and it's reassuring. I mean, it's in the title. And it's lazy, and it's, you know, it's easy. It's everywhere. It's everywhere because ignorance is bliss, right? Then you get that second line, which is the people that are in line for the inconvenient truth because they have realized the detriment of the reassuring lie. They want to know what's really going on, why things are the way they are, and they're ready to make those changes with information that was possibly readily available, but they were choosing not to see it. And then, of course, there's the people that are undecided. They're trying to see which way the wind blows and, you know, are they really prepared for that inconvenient truth, or would they rather get in line like a lot of other people for the reassuring lie because it's reassuring. It makes everything not your fault, even if something is your fault. It's like a warm hug, right? Where that person hugging you back literally stabs you in the back and twists the knife so it nicks your kidneys. That's the line for the reassuring lie. But even if you know that, sometimes you still end up in that line because some people are just not ready for the inconvenient truth. These are the people that are undecided. These are the people that don't really live up to their potential because they're just undecided, very wishy-washy. Okay, there are three lines of people. That's why some people have a vested interest in your silence, because they want you to end up in the same position that they are to make them feel better about their own life choices and where their life is. And it's also limiting beliefs that they project onto other people because they have limiting beliefs of themselves. Like if they can't imagine achieving what your dreams are, then there's no way that you could, right? It's like a subtle put down. It's like a backhanded compliment, so to speak, okay? It's its own language. A lot of times we're surrounded by these people, but we become so desensitized that we don't realize that they have penetrated our own defenses, our own boundaries, and our own environment, and slowly leaked all that poisonous negativity into our lives. This doesn't mean you can't be realistic, but you have to understand the power of positivity, okay? Your mind, your mouth, your manners, your mood, your money, everything, it all matters, and it's all a part of your diet. A lot of people think diet is just your food, and it's not. Your diet is who you surround yourself with. Your diet is how you think. Your diet is how you spend your money. Your diet is your mood. Your diet is your habits. Your diet is your manners, your mannerisms. Your diet is your mental self-talk. Your diet is so much more complex than just the food and drinks that you put in your body, okay? And that leads me to how people have the opportunity to achieve generational wealth and prosperity and become the best versions of themselves, but they squander it and they waste it. And then they become some of the most toxic, bitter people that you will ever meet in this world. The people that, oh, nothing ever works out for me, or oh, it's my mom's fault, it's my dad's fault, it's society's fault, it's my boss's fault, it's my ex's fault. At some point, we all have to learn to turn the finger on ourselves. Life isn't fair, so you've got to learn to play the way in which you want to play, okay? If you are constantly the person that's like, oh, nothing ever works out for me, well, guess what? Nothing ever will, because that's what you keep telling yourself. Whether you think you can or you can't, either way, you're right. So why not start telling your mind a different narrative, a different story, okay? Because your mind does not know what's true unless you tell it, okay? So if you say, I am becoming the best version of myself enough times, you will believe it. If you say, this is my year to make serious changes, over and over and over, your brain will start to believe it. If you start your day and end your day with basic information, your brain will eventually start to believe it. Remember, consistency will take you places that motivation alone cannot. If you start every day with affirmations about yourself, you'll be surprised at how much you start changing how you feel about yourself in a very positive way. And man, I've got Sally for all over my face. And if you end every day with some positive things that you either achieved or learned in that day and put a positive spin on stuff that may have been negative from that day, you will realize how much your mindset and your life will change. You become less, oh, nothing ever works out for me, everything's everybody else's fault, to all of a sudden you are, oh wow, things are starting to work out for me. I am working really, really hard and I am so proud of who I am today. Which one would you rather have? I know the answer, but I can't want that more for you than you want it for yourself. So that brings me to the main point of today's motivation, which is the 5 M's. I implemented this in my life and I could not even put into words how much this has drastically changed my life and how I approach other people and situations and pretty much everything in my life. So here's the 5 M's. It is all about control. And that might sound like a bad word because of toxic femininity and everything else, but control can be a very positive thing. We'll save that for a different day. All right, control. Number 1, control your mouth, okay? The less information you give out, the less information people have to attack you with. Some things should stay private because there is a difference between private and secret. Private, the right people know. Secrets are dirty, okay? And like that saying goes, 2 can keep a secret if 1 is dead. Very toxic, very bad. Privacy is the best policy. Number 2, control your mind, like we were just talking about. Whether you think you can or you can't, either way, you're right. So start thinking, I can. All right, I did this in my blog, I've done this on Twitter, Instagram, this YouTube channel, I've done this in articles everywhere because I firmly believe it. Can'ts, won'ts, and don'ts often sound very negative, very toxic. And people try to tell you what those should stand for in your life. But you have the pen to your life. Everybody else has a pencil because it's your life, not theirs. So shouldn't you be deciding what can'ts, won'ts, and don'ts stand for? That all starts with controlling your mind. I can't stop until I succeed. I won't sacrifice my integrity to achieve my goal, and I don't have time for negative people. Can'ts, won'ts, and don'ts, what they stand for should be entirely up to you. Train your brain. Number 3, control your mood. All right, you can't control anybody else. You can't control what anybody else says, anybody else does, how anybody else feels. The only thing you can do is control how you feel, how you react, and how you respond, okay? Every action and inaction has consequences. And a lot of times we allow people to have so much power over us that do not deserve that sort of power because they do not respect your boundaries, they do not respect who you are as a person, and a lot of times they have motives that are not aligned with your own. So control your mood. An emotionally, physically, and mentally stable person is capable of so much good in the world. And number 4, control your manner. All right, if you are not a person that treats the CEO the same way as a janitor, then you have some manner problems, okay? Good manners are essential in every aspect of life, okay? That doesn't mean you're a chump and you have to accept people's, bad actions. It just means you can't control them, but you can control you. You can control your mouth, you can control your mind, you can control your mood, you can control your manners. Interact in your world with integrity, with manners. Respect yourself, and eventually other people will respect you too. But it all starts with respecting yourself, and that comes down to manners and habits. First, you make your habits, then your habits make you, and that is manners. Last but not least, control your money. All right, you work hard for your money. That's not a lie, right? We all work hard for our money, but not a lot of us know how to make our money work hard for us. We are not taught that in school, and that's what separates a lot of the poor and lower middle class from the rich. I didn't grow up rich, okay? I didn't. I was lower middle class, okay? And at one point, we were poor. All right, but I sought out information from successful people and realized that a lot of successful people in so many different avenues all have very similar motives and habits and ideologies and so forth that end up contributing to their success, whatever success that might be, whether it's football, whether it's business, whether it's real estate, whether it's investing, it doesn't matter what it is. They all have very similar attributes, but you have to go out and seek that information just like they did, because they're not going to teach you that in school, because they want you to stay beholden to the system. Don't blame the rich. Blame the fact that you didn't go out there and look for the information. It's out there. It's waiting for you. You just have to decide that you want it and actively go after it and get it. All right? Your money, you work hard for it, but it can also work hard for you. It's your choice, okay? That's the difference between generational trauma, generational poverty, and generational wealth. All right, everybody, this has been the latest episode of the Talks with Taeler Hendrix podcast, coming to you live every single Tuesday as part of the brand family on russosbrand.com. Until next week.